Great, thank you. Good afternoon, and welcome to this open forum on the role of NGOs in monitoring hate crime. I'm Sclafani. I'm the director of CEJI, a Jewish contribution to an inclusive Europe. We're based here in Brussels, and we're the organizer of this project, Facing Facts, which I'll say more about in a minute. First, I'd like to start by expressing my appreciation to the Centre pour l'égalité des chances for having us here, for welcoming us in this space. It's very relevant given the topic, as the Centre is the main center for collecting hate crime data in Belgium. I also want to thank the European Commission, of course, and we have Lillian Shaw here in the back, who is funding this project from the Fundamental Rights and Citizenship Program. And I really want to thank our speakers who are here with us today. We have Bruno de Lille, who is the Secretary of State for Equal Opportunities for the Brussels Capital Region, Joanna Perry from the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights of the OSCE, and Patrick Charlier from the Centre pour l'égalité des chances. First, I'll make a few comments. First, telling you a little bit about CEJI. Now celebrating our 20th anniversary, CEJI is committed to creating an inclusive and democratic Europe in which all people can enjoy their full potential with all their diversity. We do this work mainly through training and education programs that confront bias in all its forms, that develop a greater appreciation for diversity, and the skills and strategies to create inclusive environments free from discrimination. Our program, Belief for Rama, addressing the diversity of religion and belief, has been honored with 2 awards in recent years: the European Commission Lifelong Learning Program Award for Quality in Adult Education, and the BMW Group Award for Intercultural Commitment. Our education work goes hand in hand with our advocacy work at European level, which focuses on confronting those forces which prevent the full participation of minorities and promoting those strategies that support the process of positive living together. The insidious mechanism of oppression which operates to the disadvantage of so many in Europe needs to be confronted at every level and on behalf of all. We cannot fight for the rights of only one group without supporting the rights for all. We must see bias-motivated hate crimes as the culmination of a series of building blocks starting from stereotypes and prejudice, which can be found in public and political discourse. As we witnessed the trial this week of Breivik in Norway, even if it could be argued whether this is a hate crime in its definition, we are watching with horror at the murderous rampage, and we cannot deny the prevalence of his hate-filled ideas throughout the EU. And also today, Yom HaShoah, the Jewish Day of Remembrance of the Holocaust, we're sadly aware of how the building blocks of hatred can lead to mass genocide. The origin of this project, Facing Facts, comes out of the need to address widespread discrepancies in the concepts, methods, and ways of analyzing data on hate crime and hate incidents. This discrepancy makes it difficult to get an accurate picture of the occurrence of hate crimes, the types of bias motivating them, and the profiles of the victims and the perpetrators. There are some who are skeptical about the value of data collection, and others who fear to face the facts that such data would provide. Why is accurate data collection and analysis needed? To provide services to the victims, human beings who have the right to be and to feel safe. To provide intelligence towards the provision of adequate preventive security. To empower minority communities who experience the cumulative impact of prejudice and discrimination. They need to have a state recognition that bias and hatred are unacceptable. To support the process of social integration such that people feel part of the society in which they live, and to prevent the escalation of isolated incidents into trends and mass violence. In the Facing Facts project, we aim to, 1, standardize criteria for comparable hate crime and incident data collection, to train civil society organizations representing victims to gather, analyze, and report data in order to advocate, to hold governments accountable to existing international agreement at national and local level so that civil society and public authorities work together, and to improve cooperation between different socio-cultural groups. Leading up to this point in the Facing Facts project, we have conducted an online survey of NGOs currently monitoring hate crimes in order to better understand their contexts and methodologies and to identify good practices out in the field. We have also now a set of guidelines for NGOs drafted, which will be finalized before summer. And in fact, the European group gathered here in Brussels this week is giving feedback on this draft to ensure that it is relevant and feasible. And on this basis, we will be creating a training program for NGOs to get started with their monitoring activity or to improve what they're already doing, which will be launched this November in London. The topic of this conference is the role of NGOs in monitoring hate crime. The role of NGOs vary across the EU. Some are operating in a situation with a total lack of even hostility or little cooperation with state authorities, and some are considered integral by state authorities to the data collection process, such as in the third-party reporting system you can find in the UK. In our mapping survey conducted over the last months, we found that over 60% of NGOs report sharing data with the authorities, where only about 25% report receiving information from the authorities in return.